Look at this crowd. For generations, wearing this cap and gown came with an unspoken promise. Choose a direction now, and your trajectory is set. This photograph shows exactly how that deal used to work. You choose a field, you sit at one of these uniform desks, you acquire the right credentials, follow the rules, and move up a predictable ladder. The future was visible from day one. But watch what happens to that structure today. Artificial intelligence automates routine tasks. Entire industries restructure overnight. The linear path snaps, dissolving into a cloud of shifting, unpredictable variables. This creates an agonizing contradiction. We're pressured to commit to a permanent 40-year career plan inside an economy that can barely predict what work will look like 4 years from now. So how do you respond? You open your laptop. You read articles about future-proof careers. You compare certification programs, looking for guarantees. You decide you can't make a move until you feel completely confident, and days later, you haven't taken a single step. You think you are logically planning, but you are actually engaging in what psychologists call a default rehearsal. Instead of preparing, your mind is actively imagining scenarios where your skills are obsolete, your choices are wrong, and you are left behind. This diagram shows how that mental loop affects the body. When uncertainty feeds into an imagined threat, your brain can't tell the difference between a hypothetical career risk and a physical predator. The signal accelerates until your nervous system locks down into a freeze response. Decision paralysis stems from a false assumption, the belief that if you cannot see your entire career path with absolute certainty, it is biologically unsafe to move. In the mid-20th century, philosopher Neville Goddard taught a concept called living in the end. The practice is straightforward. You mentally inhabit the physical and emotional feeling of a fulfilled state right now, long before the reality arrives. But when people try to apply this to their modern careers, they almost always make a critical error. They try to visualize the exact form of their success. They picture the specific company logo on their badge, the precise title of senior director, or an exact salary number. This animation illustrates why forcing that specific form backfires. When you push a rigid box through rapidly shifting terrain, it gets stuck and cracks. Demanding an exact title forces you to rely on external variables, hiring freezes, tech disruptions, corporate mergers that you cannot control. Tying your identity to the specific form of a career anchors your psychological safety to temporary structures that you cannot control. The alternative is to focus on essence. Essence is the underlying emotional reality of the work, the feeling of making a useful contribution, holding peer respect, and maintaining a sustainable pace. Take a look at this core essence pouring into different containers. Unlike a rigid box, this glowing fluid adapts to fit wildly different job titles. A core essence of creative problem-solving can fit into a corporate marketing role, freelance consulting, or an industry that hasn't even been named yet. So instead of fantasizing about a dramatic promotion, you practice the 7-second scene. You picture a completely ordinary Tuesday. You close your laptop, your shoulders drop. You feel the quiet, physical satisfaction of completing a useful task. The scene ends there. By deliberately imagining the essence of sustainable work, you detach your sense of success from fragile job titles. You reclaim your agency, because your fulfillment no longer depends on perfectly predicting the economy. When you practice that short, ordinary scene, the brain receives it as a safety signal. This signal effectively turns off the nervous system's threat response, pulling you out of that paralyzing freeze state. With that internal safety established, you can accept that the macroeconomy is unpredictable without needing to internally rehearse helplessness. This internal safety changes your behavioral focus. You stop trying to guarantee the next 30 years of your life and instead begin looking for low-risk, immediate experiments to test your skills. You schedule a brief informational interview. You take a weekend tutorial. You help a former colleague with a minor, localized project just to test the workflow. You do not need to predict your final destination. You just need enough internal steadiness to take the next practical step.